the AVID market update. So what is going on in the real estate market? And Tony, Leslie, anyone who's got some current experience with it, feel free to pipe in anytime. But buyers are getting ready. What we're seeing from an indication standpoint is indications pointing toward an inclining market. Buyer inquiries are up. Showings at our listing are up. And if you're considering buying, I really think that today, the metaphorical today, like now-ish, may be more favorable for you as a buyer than tomorrow or as the market warms up and the season warms up, which usually happens in tandem. A lot of folks are getting ready right now. And I would not describe our market as insane by any means. And I kind of hope it doesn't get insane again. But I think with the comps being most recently from a December and November, the historically slower market, this could be a darn good time to buy. Rates affect the market. And for those who have not done a price check lately, many of the step-up buyers, so they're buying their move-up step-up homes, so they're buying above the median price of homes, they're hitting mortgage payments, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, $4,000 to $5,000 a month. If you run the numbers on the median price of homes, you're looking at around maybe $3,200 a month for a mortgage payment. So the numbers are bigger and things are still moving, but with the reset in buyers' expectations on interest rates, they're down, and that affects buyers' interest. So Dave Rusk, we work with him all the time. He's at Idaho Central Credit Union. I'm sure many of you know and have heard of or even worked with Idaho Central. They do a ton of business in the market, and his phone, he said, was reminiscent of 2021. Applications are up. I think he had 4 just yesterday, and the single family rental rates are down from 8s in the November timeframe to 7.375. And with the higher prices that we're seeing, investors are putting more money down to make their numbers work. And ICCU is ready to reward that. So they're giving 6.625 rates to buyers who are putting 40% down, investors who are putting 40% down. So there's a huge incentive to make that extra down payment, the rates, and then of course also the cash flow. And so I've been sort of doctoring this graph along the way, extending it. Can you guys see the far right side of this graph, or is it cut off? Mine's cut off by all your mugs. Okay, great. I get a thumbs up. So I keep adding to it, but this is sort of the trend that we've seen. We're showing that rates have been going down most recently, and it's affecting the market. So Tony, Leslie, and I, our colleagues at Swope Investment Properties, are kind of bracing for what could be an exciting spring. And it could indeed be another seller's market. So what did we see? Well, the year-end stats haven't come out. I think that the Boise Regional Realtors are also having a few snow days, and the stats are almost always out by now, and they're not. So let's just look at what their most recent data is, which is in November. The median sales price was higher year over year. Now the homes sold was down, but you need inventory. You need to have homes to be able to sell homes. And those two figures were both down, and that makes sense. Days on market went down. The supply is, often affects the demand. And one thing that I thought was really interesting when I was looking at these Ada County numbers, our median sales price is now at $530,000, but that's a combination of new construction, which is maybe 570-ish, and existing homes, which are maybe closer to 509. And so when you break those down, you'll see that the existing homes, their prices actually went up a couple percent year over year, and it was the new construction that took a bigger hit. New construction is a big story we've been telling a lot lately in AVID, because it's affecting, well, it's everywhere, and it's also in apartments. Okay. I was going to mention that inventory, we talk about inventory in a balanced market. Right now, we're at about 2.2 months of inventory, and 4 to 6 months is what's considered balance. And you'll see I kind of plugged in the formula in some notes there. It's a funky little formula, but we're at a inventory level that suggests sellers have an upper hand. When we look over into Canyon County, year over year, this past at the end of the year, at the end of 2023, we saw that the median sales prices were down. Number of homes sold was down year over year, and inventory and days on market also down. So I suspect that, again, like Ada, if we subtract the new construction out of that sales price, we'll see that the existing construction was performed a little bit better comparing year over year. So Tony, you could present your fourplex data if you wanted to be thrown under the bus, Tony, because this is your data and you're here in the meeting today. Would you like to do that, or should I just keep going?
I was on mute, right?
Yep, but you're here now. You want to run with this?
You're doing great.
Okay, well, Tony, how long have you been tracking the Ada County fourplexes?
About right before the crash, so probably 2006, because the data kind of predicted a little bit, and I would do it. It took me a few years before I finally created a spreadsheet where I could just keep building on it. What I do is I would rebuild it every year. And so I don't know when I finally got smart and just started adding every year to the darn thing. But yeah, so I think 2006.
So I guess for, I don't know, 17 years or so, Tony's been tracking all the fourplex data and watching the trends and graphing them, and has been nicknamed the fourplex guy many times. These figures can help predict price. They can help predict performance. And do you have any specific predictions based on what you're seeing in your data, Tony, and what we can expect to see the cap rates and returns for investors doing coming up here?
No, I keep thinking we're going to see something, and it hasn't happened. In some areas, we've seen the prices soften, and then we'll get something that didn't soften, and it skews all my numbers. So I mean, I think if you have a turnkey fourplex that's got great rents, no deferred maintenance, I think you're going to be all right. But anything less than that, we're seeing them soften a little bit.
Okay, so we're at a 180 gross rent multiplier, and that's the lower that number that is, the better it is for buyers. 4.64 cap rate, and these are the 6-month trailing averages that Tony's been tracking, and 46.1 days on market. Was that days on market for the year or 6 months also, Tony?
I think that's the average for the year.
Okay,
I'd have to look at my data, but I think I track days on market, which, yeah, it's average for the year. And so compare that to the year. Do you have the graphs following?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, not all of them though.
They'll show that jump. That's way up.
Yeah. And then when we have these low sales, Tony's always saying how it skews the data. So the only one we had sell in December was obviously a lot nicer than your typical fourplex that you might see. It was in Eagle. It was townhome with ADU, townhome style. We've had one sell in January so far in Meridian, and that was in 1979 build. So the price differences between the over 1 million in Eagle and the 740,000 in Meridian really throws the data around, especially when there's very few sales. But here's what we're seeing. Average price, steady line up. And the new builds are going for above $1 million lately. Cap rates, they've moved around a lot more, and we're sub 5 now, and sometimes you can hit 5 maybe on market rents. If it's an older property, we saw one that sold for that recently in Nampa on Lexi Lane or Way. And that 6-month average is the red line. And then here's a look at our gross rent multiplier. So 180, we've been at 180 for a while now, but that average days on market is high. And I don't think I plugged in that average days on market graph, but nope, I sure didn't. What I did do is look at what do we have for active fourplexes right now. So if we wanted to look at literally what could we buy if we wanted to. Here's Ada County. Let's see. I don't know if I had anything to comment on specifically on these. Canyon County, here's what we have for active fourplexes. Oh yeah, no, I did have a comment on this. The Maple Grove, that's the one that you and I toured, right? I think, Tony?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I'm talking a lot. Why don't you summarize our tour in that one?
Well, if you want me to summarize, I can just say no. So it looks like it's going to be a development of 4 buildings. One is, I guess, complete. One looks like they started and stopped. And when they stopped, it wasn't weatherproof, and it's deteriorating and rotting as we speak. The design was kind of cool. The interiors were, how would you describe that?
Modern,
yeah. So kind of cool that way. But we saw some quality issues with the construction, some telltale signs. I mean, here it is brand new, and we're already seeing evidence of water leaks. The balconies, when I was walking on them, I looked at the material and I was like, oh, those long term, I see problems with that. Then we went on the outside, we walked, and we could see staining already from those balconies. So you don't have any control of what's going to be built around you. Just a lot of red flags, and at that price, too many red flags, in my opinion.
I took a video of one of the units. If anyone's interested in it, you're welcome to hit me up for that. But as Tony said, it's something we would probably call you off of. Half the time our job as agents representing investor buyers is doing exactly that, talking about why not buy something. And with Tony's contractor background and property management background, he's got eagle eyes on all of that. We also looked at this. Danielle, I see you're on now. We got jump started and got going, but welcome to everyone who joined. And Danielle, you had someone interested in these fourplexes as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. And we noticed the same craftsman issues that you guys saw as well. That was one of our big concerns, and one of the leaks that was just still left open after, I mean, we had viewed it 2 months within each other and it still hadn't been closed up. So yeah, I agree with you on that listing.
Yeah. And guys, Danielle is the newest member of Swope Investment Properties and the Boise Investment Properties team. So I can't wait to introduce you to her in person when we meet in person. But here she is on the Zoom. Welcome, Danielle. Welcome to AVID.
Thank you.
Anyone else here for the first time? Okay, well, let me know if so, and otherwise, we'll go to 5+. Oops. Crazy. Canyon County fourplexes. Maccabee has lots of units or lots of bedrooms, which is nice, and amenities, garages. They're either 2 or 3 story units, which we're seeing them stacked up like that. But this is one of those big fourplex group. The developers from Utah, and they have a lot of in-house property management, in-house agents, in-house development, in-house HOA management. I think they've got in-house lenders. They've kind of packaged up all the ways you can possibly do real estate into their business plan. And we're not in love with the closed management that comes with. And so your HOA dues on that are $760 a month, and you don't have your choice of who you use for your property manager. So that's a little bit of a concern for us. Anyway, those listings are out there. Lexi Lane's a great little area, and one of those sold as a comp last month for $900 after high days on market. Now we've got one listed at $880. Yeah, so this is what we're seeing with fourplexes. 5+, there were some things there, despite the empty slide. There were some 5+ units. So if you have questions on those, let me know. Now, before we move into the rental market update, I think that Amberly, you're here for the first time as well, aren't you? I wanted to introduce you to the group.
Hello.
Welcome. What brought you to AVID?
We are building our first ADU unit, and I'm a big advocate of long-term planning. I've always got my eye on the horizon, and so though I'm not at the level many of you guys are, I figure learning as much as I can as I go along.
Okay, got it. All right.
The
All right.
perfect
Thank you very much. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
So glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to learn.
Well, thanks for being here, Amberly. And I'm sorry there was a little sound glitch for a second, but we appreciate you coming out. And, you know, long-term planning is the name of the game when it comes to real estate. And so you're in the right spot. And did you say for your ADU, and sorry if I missed it, did you say what your plans are for your ADU? Are you going to rent it out?
We are going to rent it out, yes.
Okay. I have a ADU right now that has been vacant it's never vacant for this long, and we Airbnb it. I do have a property manager Airbnb-ing it, but I'm surprised that it's still vacant to the point where I'm like, okay, what do I need to do with the price, or what do we need to do about it? Are you planning on short-term renting your ADU?
Yeah, we're hoping to do 6 months leases, partly because it's still a learning process for us and because it's still a learning process. But if we do run into needing to switch it to like an Airbnb or maybe furnished short-term rentals like that, it's lovely that I'd be able to reach out to you and pick your brain for ideas.
Yeah, don't hesitate. And that market ebbs and flows. And I've historically found that the 6-month leases are great, especially in winter. And then when I was scrappier and doing it myself more, I would let the property manager handle it in summer when there were tons of renters for shorter term. And then I just want to get someone in there for winter. So but yeah, that market ebbs and flows as well. And speaking of the rental market, this is a great segue, but welcome, Amberly. The fall market was slow and steady per first rate property management. And we've been showing a picture of all the availability per Zillow. And here it is on the map. It was 1,800 units in September, and it has dropped down 15% or so, or 275 since then. But for those of you who are here who still do some of your self-managing, or if you want to kind of price check what your property manager is doing, this link to the Zillow rental manager market trends is a real good way to go for a custom update on your property when you're actually going to price it, or look at your competition, or think about what to do with it. And so what we're being defined as by Zillow right now is a warm market. And the graph on the left shows you the price range for all bedrooms and property types in Boise. You can kind of see where the most units are, but you can also see in the graph on the right that the median rent prices, which had previously been going up and up and up and up, they kind of leveled out, and then they dipped last year, and we all experienced that firsthand. Right now, the median Boise rent is $1,755, which is up slightly month over month, but it's down about $150 a month year over year per Zillow's market trends. And with that construction being a big part of the story, we do expect a lot more new units coming online. And so that certainly could put some pressure on rents, downward pressure as that supply goes up. And I like to look at once in a while with these rent prices, with rent prices being, you know, many people are paying around $2,000 in rent. The median was, I guess, $1,755 in Boise. How do we compare to some other markets? And so I looked up a few, and we're higher than Salt Lake, we're higher than Portland, Oregon, higher than Madison, Wisconsin, and Missoula, but we're lower than Seattle, Bozeman, McCall, Ketchum, Atlanta, Chicago, and we're still lower nationally overall compared to the trends. So while we talk about that affordability issue, and in some cases we see it happening firsthand, we're still on the graph and on the slightly more affordable rent scale than than the nation itself. So any questions on our rental market update? Because that about sums that up.